go into our Wolfpack soccer check-in. So this is where we talk about football, from Tim's ongoing Wolf fandom journey to just all the leagues that we watch, drama, transfer rumors, heartbreak, overreactions. And with the World Cup here, we have been diving into the biggest storylines, contenders, dark horses, and what has us excited about this World Cup tournament. So whether your team is flying high right now, fighting for survival, or back home, making questionable decisions around anything, we've got plenty to talk about. So grab your drinks, join the pack, and let's get into some football talk. And I don't even know where to start. There's just so much going on. We're officially in the group stage. I think we talked maybe a few of the games before the group stage. Let's see which one or stand out. Mexico had a good win against Czechia. Their last game in the group stage, 3-0, even without their starters. I know last episode we and I'll admit it, I sort of mentioned I didn't like how Mexico played their second game against South Korea. I think they got lucky winning that. But they showed a lot with this one, especially not starting full starters. Heartfelt moment for me, seeing Ochoa go in there. The claps, you saw a lot of fans crying. Just brings back full circle moments. Like I said, not Mexican at all, but I've always followed, supported the Mexican league or the Mexican national team. So pretty cool game.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're even an outsider, up to this World Cup and soccer EPL season, Ochoa is a guy that you just recognize. He has the crazy hair, Troy Polamalu-esque hair going on. He's had, crazy saves. He's been the longtime goalie for Mexico. Just one of those names that really stands out, with, alongside like Chicharito and stuff like that. But yeah, no starters in this game. It was really cool to see him come in and get a big enough lead for them to, allow that to happen. I was, kind of talking with Rob, and I think I'm planning on watching the game tomorrow with Rob, which will be another great one. But he still seems, I don't know if this is a temper his reactions kind of deal or, he's going for it. And I get it if it is, but he doesn't always sound overly convinced, with Mexico. He kind of had similar feelings as what you had, John, talking about the team. Oh, you're not overly convinced. Yes, they won, every match leading up to it, but it's just, yeah, one of those things where you're just like, you should have beat them by a little bit more, taken advantage a little bit more. And then the goal that they had that second match was, due to a fluke error by the goalie as well. So doesn't leave you thinking great. I think it helps solidify things with this final match. Really just knocked him out. Yep, it's a great game. Fun watch for sure.
Yeah, it was a fun watch. Yeah, we'll sort of see how it goes tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit about the games coming up. But the other game in that group that I was really surprised with, South Africa, South Korea. South Africa winning that one 1-0 and pretty much eliminating South Korea, which I think was a favorite to maybe make a great run this year for a lot of people. So disappointing showing from South Korea. Son, who plays here with LAFC, probably not his best tournament. Heard
Hwang.
huh?
Hwang as well, right?
Hwang? Yeah, Hwang.
With the Wolves.
Yeah. And then I forget what the video was, but I heard people like booing some of the players showing up today in South Korea. I think like the coach quit or something also, and I think they were mad at the coach. So overall, like I say, bad tournament for South Korea. In a group that they probably should have gotten out of. I think I heard a lot of rumors that a lot of South Koreans were selling their tickets to yesterday's game in SoFi because it was Canada South Africa, where it could have been Canada South Korea, which would have been entertaining.
It would have been. It would have been a really good match and would have helped us. I know for sure I took them coming out of their group. Did you go South Korea as well?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Right, and you base yours a little bit more analytically than I. I just love their interviews leading up to it. They, they seem mentally strong. I don't know what happened, John. It was a team that I felt played really well that first match, and I think it ended in a tie if I'm not, or a draw if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken. And then obviously second match against Mexico didn't go
Mexico.
their way. They just, we kind of talked about it. But then I was watching another. I think I was watching the other match going on in their group when they were playing this past week, and yeah, I was shocked to see South Africa taking them down, what, 1-0 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 1-0.
And yeah, man, it was surprising. And don't really know what happened. Played a little stagnant. It was a team that honestly probably could have gone far, because didn't they also had a player from PSG, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
Wow.
they had a solid squad. So what happened? The bright lights. I will say we'll talk about it a little bit, with some of these other games, but just too much for them. The expectation, I think, could have been too heavy on some of these players, and who knows? Maybe playing in Mexico sort of got to them. Were these guys going out partying with all the fans the way we saw some of these South Koreans doing?
Can't blame
Fans
them.
partying. I wouldn't blame them, and maybe some of them were a little hungover. But like I say, overall disappointing showing from them. I won't say it's my most disappointing team from the group stages being eliminated, though. Disappointing, but not the biggest one.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think we're in agreement with that. But yeah, surprising for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. The next game that I really enjoyed watching, and some of it we could talk about a little later. Ecuador versus Germany. Ecuador winning 2-1 against Germany and getting into the group stages. If you see, it's a Ecuador hasn't been there in a while. It was a team that I think a lot of people didn't think was coming out of this group, and winning 2-1 against Germany, and Germany played their starters a good amount of the game. Big win for them. So kudos to them. And that's who Mexico plays, tomorrow. Or, yeah, tomorrow. So,
Tomorrow, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's gonna be a great match. It's gonna be a big one. I think Mexico, get don't shy away from this one. I think it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a lot closer than I think what some might think. Um, Based off of especially what you've mentioned right there, especially beating Germany. And yeah, Germany again, I don't know, bright lights kind of deal for them. It seemed like a group that they really should have just swept easily.
mm-hmm,
It seemed like they were kind of cherry picked there. And after the first match, it seemed like they scored all their goals. I
mm-hmm,
think they
yeah.
scored 7 in the first, and then
Yeah.
you know
No, well, maybe
the
like
roller
one or
coaster went
two.
down. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we'll talk a little bit about Germany later on. Next big game, I think I see here Turkey beating USA 3-2. Like I say, USA didn't start their starters, so not too surprised. I've always have felt that the bench for the USA, if you start the entire bench, they're not that great of a squad. Their starters are a lot better. But it also, for me, it's like it shows the potential Turkey had. I had Turkey as my dark horse favorite getting out and making a deep run, but they disappointed me the first two games, not being able to beat Australia or Paraguay. But what they showed against USA, it was sort of like, man, if you guys did that the whole tournament, you guys would have gotten out of this group, and people would be scared of this team. So kudos to Turkey ending the tournament horribly, but on a W against USA. Uh, I think for USA, I hope this doesn't affect their momentum. That's the biggest thing for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's certainly a momentum crusher, especially that being, the final seconds of that game, not even, let alone final minute of extended time there. And the what do you call it when you pass the ball through somebody's legs, defender's legs? What is that called again? Nutmeg. There you go. Beautiful nutmeg at the end of that match. That was
Yeah.
sick by Turkey. It just totally badass. Like it just
Yeah.
had the U.S. defender on skates, and then the really nice lob in, crossed over, money goal. I mean, man, if they where was that the whole tournament? Because again, they would have really supported your pick really well, and
It would
the talent was
have.
obviously there, and they played a great
Yeah.
match. And yeah, I think I saw a picture of a lot of Turkey fans back at home in their country on an outdoor venue watching one of the matches. One of the most beautiful looking like theaters I've ever seen in my life, and I'm
Yeah.
like, man, shame that they didn't advance because I'm sure that crowd would have been popping,
It
for
would have been.
the elimination stages. But yeah, again, hopefully it's not decimating on the U.S. side. The injury to one of the players at the end of the game that kind of really extended that time. That looked rough, and he was powering through it. And then Pulisic looked, still a little bothered, I
Hmm.
think, with the calf.
Yeah.
So something to pay
Yeah.
attention to.
Yeah. Something to pay attention to. Hopefully, he's doing all the recovery prior to Thursday, or no, Wednesday. They play Wednesday. It's a Wednesday game for them. Is it? Yeah,
It's
Wednesday. I want to say Wednesday. I got all my dates mixed up, but yeah, it's a big one. I saw the post game interview with Pochettino. He's a little frustrated talking about the loss and not really congratulating the team for making it in the next round. But
mhm.
it's like, yeah, you guys made it. You guys were already in it for sure. But like I say, it's a momentum killer, and we'll sort of talk about it with this round of 32 games that happened today. I think one of them was a momentum killer. You saw it in the game. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, and then we'll talk. Let's see. Norway, France. I was hoping to see a Holland Mbappe matchup there, but Norway decided not to play Holland or another of their star players. So easy win for France. People are saying it's strategy. There's a reason Norway didn't play Holland, but like I say, would have wished for an amazing game there. But it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that was kind of a big anticipation of, seeing Holland play Mbappe. Again, like you said, didn't happen. Holland did not seem like he had fears of it, of facing France at all. Don't know if he knew the news of him not playing in that match, and that's why he could kind of talk him up a bit more.
Yeah,
Seemed like it maybe got the French on their high horse there because
yeah.
yeah, they had the shame I don't know his name. He had a hat trick in the first 30 minutes of that match, I believe.
Dembele.
Dembele,
Oh,
yes.
yeah, Dembele.
And it's just, yeah, putting on an absolute show right off the bat. So props to them. They're looking mighty good as the French head into the next round.
Yeah, yeah. Next games that were played: Uruguay, Spain. That group, Spain winning 1-0, knocking Uruguay out. Man, Uruguay. This is the biggest disappointment of the group stages for me. Uruguay not making it. And Turkey was one for me, but I think Uruguay was bigger. Uruguay, this group should have been second place no matter what. So being eliminated, unfortunate for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Very unfortunate. And I found myself talking with Miguel, my father-in-law, as we were watching this match, and I kept finding myself like thinking, and then I finally said, I'm like, wasn't Uruguay like really good? Just always really good in a lot of these. And then I was like, aren't they known for really good defense as well? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't think we're getting it.
Nah.
It's and the coach looked frustrated. End of the game, the players were frustrated. The red card handed out. It was a really ugly scene. I think the coaches were kind of yelling into the field. Um, Shout out the ref in this match, right? This is the one where the ref looked like he wanted just to fight somebody.
Yeah.
There's like some highlights made of him, but he looked like an enforcer out there. But yeah, big disappointment with Uruguay.
Yeah, big disappointment. I don't know if you saw the report. The Uruguay Federation, they canceled their private charter and made everybody fly a coach.
Yeah.
That's just a slap in the face to these players,
Yeah.
man. That's horrible. But that shows how serious Uruguay is about football.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's insane. There's a lot of backlash online about it, but I'm sure it's coming from, maybe Americans even that, if that happened here in the States, it would be like we would never live it down. It would be terrible. But other countries, man, like soccer is life, like it's everything. So it's just different. And yeah, we can question it here, but maybe they felt like they showed them up by not looking good. So it's like, okay, why pay for you to come back? Did they part ways with the coach as well?
I think they are. I don't know if they parted ways, but I think they're going to part ways if they haven't yet.
Okay,
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, they're going to move on. So, but yeah, that's Uruguay, Spain. The other group, the other matches from this group, and honestly, I still give you credit. You took one of these teams slightly before I maybe changed our mind. Cape
Hmm.
Verde,
Yeah.
making it to the next round.
Woo-hoo!
Zero
Crazy.
zero, but still a country that's hasn't been to the World Cup, making it to the round of 32. That's awesome for Cape Verde. I think they got a tough matchup. I think they have Argentina. Um, but just imagine if they could be Argentina killers. Man, the history for this team, they'll build a monument to the entire Cape Verde team if they beat Argentina.
Yeah, I think at that point you just make a statue for every player and
Yeah.
just have them all there because yeah, they're really making a name for themselves. A lot of great moments. They I just This team plays with a lot of heart. Just seeing them run all over the field, the speed that they play with, they don't give up on plays. You can just tell like it's do or die every moment for them. So yeah, all gas, and that's what makes a really fun team to watch. And yeah, just wish I would have done like a full dive with them and really gone for it because would have worked out pretty good so
It
far.
would have
But
worked
yeah,
out
that's
well.
going to be a tough matchup though.
Yeah,
Oof.
tough matchup for them. Next game we'll talk about, it's a team we've been following: New Zealand versus Belgium. Disappointing loss, 5-1 to Belgium. Overall, what I will say about the All Whites, great tournament. I think it put New Zealand on the map, and I think football in New Zealand, with after talking with Ryan, Brad, with South Island United, what they're doing to develop football in New Zealand, they're a team to watch out for in the next World Cup. They're going to have some youngsters coming up from the academies going through the league. Um, Elijah Just, man, that kid's a baller. He's going to get a good contract after this year. Um, but yeah, like I say, I'm happy with the way they performed. I see a lot of other New Zealand fans also very proud of this team, of how they performed. We should have gotten that first win against Iran. Should have been a win for us, and probably would have made us go into the next round. But like I say, it's part of the game. We're going to see a lot of crazy scores, and um, yeah, yeah. But still going to be following New Zealand moving forward.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Hey, as we've been, emulating to Ryan, Brad, Matt, lifelong fans of the Kiwis, the All Whites. It's been a hell of a tournament. It's been one that has put us in contact with a lot of wonderful people that we never would have thought we'd be able to meet, and here we are. Yeah, fully dove into it. We're getting ready for the OFC League as that would get started up, next season, coming up here in a few months, and it's just kind of broadened, our vision altogether of New Zealand and all the country has to offer, and super cool. The team itself, again, like it's a team that they seem very level headed, humble. They know that the loss to Germany, the outcome, I'm not going to say they were expecting it, but it doesn't seem like, they're overly, shocked by it because
Mm-hmm.
they kind of know where their standpoint is right now. But based off of what we've been discussing with everybody, and then also seeing this team play, their reactions to the tournament, that this is literally just feels like the beginning. And it just feels like this nation is gonna just burst onto the soccer scene. So I'm excited to see them when they come back around with the next World Cup. And then paying attention to see where their landing spots are. I know Elijah Just, I believe, played in the Scottish League most
Hmm.
recently, but I
Yeah.
mean, gosh, I wouldn't be surprised to see him make his way into the EPL after that tournament. 3 goals, all really good looking goals. And then you have Chris Wood. I believe he's on West Ham. He's been there in the EPL for quite some time. But super cool stories all around. Congrats to Belgium. Uh, played very well that game.
Yeah. No, yeah, they played the way they should have played the first two games, and maybe would have taken it easier against us Kiwis. But overall, like I said, yeah, great showing, great fan base. Shout out to New Zealand fans. Like I say, appreciate how welcoming and everybody we've met through this. It's been an amazing experience for us. So lifelong fans from us for New Zealand and even the New Zealand OFC League and the teams out of New Zealand. We're excited to see their progress in the future years. But yeah, that's that game. Next one, Colombia versus Portugal, 0-0. I think it's. I'm just gonna rage bait. I'm just gonna rage bait. I just have to. No
Do
goal from
it.
Ronaldo.
Yeah.
It was most likely going to be a very close game. Colombia is an amazing team. Portugal's a great team. Um, but what I will say, going to look at Jordan versus Argentina. Argentina winning 3-1. Messi barely coming on the second half and scoring a goal.
Mm-hmm.
Goat debate. Think it's shut. Close that book.
Yeah. Yeah. What, five tournament goals for Messi now altogether? Scored in every match he played in.
Or six. Six.
6. Yeah. He went 3-2-1, right?
3-2-1.
Badass. Yeah, no, it's and then, and then when that game ended, I made the snarky comment to Robin. I'm like, oh, did I know Messi came in late, but did Ronaldo play today? And he played most of the match. And yeah, and then I swear I'm not like searching these highlights or mixtapes, but my FYP is just force feeding them to me, and I love it. But it was a bunch of Ronaldo goals where he didn't touch it, but he acted like he did. He took credit for it, and he went and did the sue after every single
Yeah.
one. And man, crazy, crazy look. But hey, shout out Rob. You're do or die by the guy, and
Yeah.
shout out Brad. You have another supporter there too.
Yeah. Yeah. You support your guy through thick or thin. So shout out to you. Like I say, I just do it to rage bait Rob right now because I know he's one that gets triggered with this conversation and just the comments. Um, but like I say, I think the one thing with Portugal, like I say, they're a great team. I don't know what they could do with Ronaldo. Like I say, I haven't been overly impressed with them. Argentina played well. Like I say, Rob's rebuttal to this is FIFA set up Argentina to have the easiest path to the final. But honestly, the path they have didn't happen just because it was meant to be. Cape Verde, it should have been Uruguay. They should be playing this first round.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, some of these other teams in their section, I think Australia versus Egypt, should have been Turkey versus maybe Egypt. A lot better competition right there. I think Switzerland, Algeria, Switzerland winning first. Canada should have been first in that group. A better team, and then Algeria. Um, I think that was part of the Messi group. Like they were already owning. So I think it's just how the cards were dealt based off the games. Uh, but I know that's something Rob will say that FIFA is setting this up for Messi to win another one because his path, I will say, is a lot easier than Ronaldo's path to the finals. But Portugal just hasn't done much to impress me this tournament.
Yeah, no, it's a really valid point, and yeah, it's not necessarily they're doing. It's just they won the games that were in front of them, and went on from there. It's just kind of one of those things. But I definitely understand the argument though, in the way it looks, just because I on this podcast, I know we catch ourselves doing it a lot with the Kansas City Chiefs getting cupcake schedules every single year
Yeah.
of their lives, and then now the AFC West is better. Shout out Kansas City. Good luck now. But yeah, furthermore, I get the argument, but the way that you presented it right there and how this tournament works, there was the strongest possibility of a much tougher match.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. There, it should have been like if it would have happened, the outcomes would have happened the way it should be based off ranking and how great teams are. It should have been just as equally as a tough path for Argentina to make it to the finals, but because some of these upsets, and that's why World Cup is amazing and why I think it's watched by so much, and we'll talk a little bit about these upsets. It's why we watch it. You can't predict what's going to happen. So, um, yeah, but yeah, that was pretty much the last of the group stages that we had. Then we have round of 32 started yesterday, and yesterday was also a fun game to watch. A little boring for a bit, but South Africa versus Canada. Canada taking this 1-0 in the last few minutes with that game winner. Yeah, good game. I think not surprised. I think a lot of us probably had Canada winning that one.
Definitely. I was surprised it stayed at the score it was for as long as it did. It just was, really a really solid back and forth game. And then, yeah, just that last, final little slip up by South Africa, and Canada scored on that goal. And I was really hoping for PKs at that point. Um, we had to leave the house though, so I guess it was kind of blessing in disguise. It ended right there. So that also crossed my mind. But yeah, it was a great game. Really good way to start us off. The one nitpicky item I have: why one match at noon? Why just one on Sunday? It should have been three yesterday, and then leave the nighttime one today. Like, that's FIFA. Come on, what were you thinking? Because if you're going to base it off of the rest of the world, let's just say, uh, Japan time or whatever, like, it's going to be that Monday-ish time frame anyways. But, you know, that's what we had to deal with back in the day. So I don't know, man. That's my one nitpick.
Yeah,
Here's mine.
I think it just there had to be one game by itself to sort of match it up because
Got
after
it.
this every day is three games at least. So just to make it even and not take too many days. But yeah, like I say, it was weird. Uh, almost got tickets to that. I found some. I think it was at like 750 for some decent seats. I was close to
Damn.
going to that, but I was like, I don't know. And we had a busy Sunday, so but it was good to watch. And then we had games today. First one early, I think it was a 10 o'clock game. Brazil versus Japan. Man, this one kept me at the edge of my seat. Japan starting off with the opening goal, Brazil tying it, and then Brazil winning it in the last minutes of extra time, of regular time as well. Crazy. I thought Brazil was gonna fumble this and sort of come.
Hmm.
My prediction of them fumbling this tournament was gonna come true. They proved me wrong.
Yeah, definitely a loss and heartbreak for Japan. Wasn't able to really watch much of this one, just due to the time that it was on, but it was certainly a phenomenal match. And then I just saw a whole lot of highlights of one fan in particular, a Japanese fan in the stands. Everybody was hugging him with their Brazilian flags, and it was getting around him. But it was all fun and games, honestly, and just, yeah, a lot of heartbreak for Japan. It was kind of like one of those. We had similar thoughts to them as we did just with, like, even South Korea, for example, with just the mentality of the team, how good they were going to be. But I feel like Japan was that team that, before South Korea was really talked about, there's a ton of talk about Japan. Ryan brought up Japan, not even just completely off topic of this, in how good they are at training altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And it truly goes to show like how good Japan's getting at football. So props to them. This is certainly not the end, and I think that they are going to be a powerhouse for years to
Yeah,
come. Just heartbreak. Great team.
yeah. Heartbreak, hard to see. But yeah, I was gonna bring that up too because when I saw how well Japan did and how well they kept up with Brazil, honestly, even being close to beating them, it reminded me of the comment Ryan made where how some of these countries are developing their youth. What Japan's doing is probably the best way, where they're focusing on the 2 to 3 year olds, 2 to 4 year olds, and making sure that they love the sport, they love soccer, because and like I say, when he mentioned that, I never thought about it that way, but I was like, yeah, if you love it at 2 to 4, you're gonna want to play it the whole time. If you start getting into it at 8 and 9, and you're just like, this isn't for me, but you're getting forced to, you're not gonna have the same passion, the same pizzazz, wanting for the game. So and it seems like that's what New Zealand's doing. So that's why I think New Zealand as well is gonna start making moves eventually. So shout out to Ryan for sharing that info, because I think he makes a good point in seeing Japan, how well they did. This is a team I think we probably would have never thought could keep up with Brazil, but they kept up with Brazil.
Yeah, they 1,000% did, and it's again we're going to see them come back, and another thing that yeah, just everybody even on the TikTok lives that are going on, or Twitch live, you know, just if you can make it over to the Instagram, Banter on the Rocks Instagram, we clipped it. It's about a 5-minute clip. I think it's really well worth watching. Just regarding Ryan Edwards, he's the GM of South Island United that we had on last week, and I think that his points are very well, portrayed with what John just mentioned. Then another line that really stuck out to me was Japan's best worst player is extremely close to their best player, and there's just a very minimal gap on the team, and I feel like we saw a lot of that. And going forward, if that's the way that their teams are going to be presented, it's going to be some scary teams going
Mm-hmm.
forward, like just beasts. So,
Yeah,
yeah, props to everybody.
yeah. Props to everybody there for Japan. But yeah, good game to start off the day today. Second game, this one we'll talk a little bit maybe more. Germany versus Paraguay. Uh big upset, man. 1-1 going into extra time, stays 1-1, and then Paraguay winning at 4-3 on penalty kicks. I think first question for you, Tim. Your experience. This is, I think, your first big focus World Cup experience in watching PKs. What was that feeling like watching PKs for a team that you took all the way?
So there's two sides of Tim that I think everybody should know about. There's hater Tim, like dude, like I made the comment later today because there was two sets of PKs we got the privilege of watching.
Yeah.
One was just put me out there, and I can do it. Obviously, that's extreme sarcasm. There ain't no way I could do anything. But the other side of me is, and I believe it was you and or Rob brought up about just nerves. I think you both brought it up, and it's a really good point because you can see in a ton of sports. Nobody even likes saying this word, but the yips. Not saying that that's what those players had, but in the moment when you counteract nerves with something that seems so simple and you overthink it. We even saw it in the the Champion League match, right? With uh, Arsenal botching it. Same thing here. So many misses in both teams, and it was just just shocking. Goalies played very well though, and there were some phenomenal blocks altogether. But yeah, nerves go through like crazy. And then I brought up that even if I'm playing FIFA, I'll get nervous.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a serious moment. So I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
But then there's another side
Yeah.
of Tim that's just a d bag.
Well, I think a lot of us probably thought the same thing because I was watching it. I was watching the first set of PKs with Vera, and she's like, "Why are they missing? It's not hard to miss." And I was like, when you're in those situations, like I say, and you know, if whenever we get Rob here, we could talk a little bit about PKs because he shared that he's gone through it in this type of intensity with when he was playing soccer. I will say I've never been through it this intense where I've gone to PKs like in a final or in a tournament. Um, I've only taken PKs, and that in itself, it's already nerve wracking. It's one of the hardest things, and it sort of reminds me of the NFL of where we talk smack about kickers, but man, those kickers, yeah, it's one job to kick between those goalposts, and they could do it. But when the nerves kick in, sometimes, and in those bright lights, it is very hard. And what these players do, um, it's crazy. You know, I think the first one, I want to say it was in Germany. I think both of these were in Germany. uh Kai Havertz, how he's running up his little and then he goes. Once I saw that little, I was like, oh, you're gonna miss it, full. I was just like,
Yeah.
don't do that. Just keep it simple, you guys.
Yep.
But I know it's their routine, it's their tradition, how they do things. But I was just like, man, it's crazy. For me, goalies could always become heroes, but I never see goalies as the failures. The people that take the most heat are those kickers that miss it. They're either going to be heroes or they're going to be villains for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely. No, it's a super valid point. And it's yeah, it's a shame. You can tell like how much they wear it afterwards too. Like we saw it in that match where like they missed the goal, they go back, they cover their face, all their teammates are like trying to push their chin up and getting that support, but it's like deep down, it's like you think about, like what's life going to be like after you go home, because you think of all these other sports where something crazy happens and people blame you. Yeah, it's demoralizing. And it's like you train so hard for something so simple to control you like that. It's mind over absolutely everything. And it's crazy all in one moment. But it's fun to watch. Really fun to watch. The people I don't envy are the ones that spent all that money, but you're down at the other goal. That would kind of suck.
That would
I
suck.
thought about that. I thought about that. I
that
was
that
like,
might not
damn, that
be
sucks.
that might not be the best, especially if you're like on that ground level where it's harder to see. I think if you're on the upper levels, it's okay because you can still get a good view. But yeah, the ground
Exactly.
level. But like I say, but if you're behind that goal, whew,
Ooh,
electricity,
the
electricity.
best. It's like
Yeah,
the free throw thing. Like you can like wave your hands up and go crazy. Yeah, I love it. It's awesome.
yeah, no, it's good. So, but yeah, that was the first game. I would say probably disappointing tournament for Germany. And this sort of goes into the discussion we had. Germany losing their last group stage game 2-1 to Ecuador, came in, was probably had good momentum, came in with bad momentum with that loss, and it is my concern for the USA. We lost that last game against Turkey, going against Bosnia and Herzegovina. We'll talk a little bit about it, but it's my concern.
Yeah. No, concern I have as well. And it's even, something Ryan's hot take for the tournament was US was going to win the whole World Cup. And my first remarks back to him was, gosh, I hope the momentum isn't killed after that last minute goal tonight. And that was, back against Turkey. So yeah, it's something I think on our minds. But we'll see how it goes forward. And then when it comes to Germany, disappointing. That was my favorite, so that sucks. Feels like my my March Madness top dog is already out, but plenty of teams to root for that I'm really excited about. This tournament is absolutely impeccable, and can't believe it took me 34 years of life to do this. But it's it's insane, and honestly, I do feel like Germany scored all their goals in that first match, and it was just they disappeared.
Yeah, yeah, disappointing tournament for them. Adidas, if you do a sale on their jerseys, I'll still go buy one. If you do it for like $20, I'll get that tomorrow. Just because they are still
Solid.
sweet
Got
uniforms
mine.
they got. Yeah.
Yeah, good
um,
stuff.
yeah. Next game that was today, the last one, Netherlands versus Morocco. Same thing, went 1-1, went into PKs. Morocco winning this one 3-2. A lot of misses on this one. I think the Morocco goalie did a bit of work, but after that, it was just players missing it. And like I say, bright lights. It's tough on these players.
Very tough. The one that really sticks out to me is the Netherlands goalie stopping it, and then he adjusts his legs at the end, and it goes in, and that sucks. Like you did all that work, you stopped it, the ball was stopped, and then you moved your damn legs, and
Yeah.
it went in. Not a fault of his own. I mean, that at least I would put much blame on him. But yeah, a lot of misses, a lot off the posts. There was one that I think went like a mile and a half over the goal, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, it just seemed like a lot of the same. Just overthinking it. Had trouble putting in the back of the net. There was some really solid looking goals. The way that Morocco finished it out was, really sweet
Yeah.
corner of the goal shot. But yeah, crazy, great match overall though. I did really enjoy it. Morocco being able to have that late goal to send it into PKs. I
Hmm.
mean, again, you talk about momentum. One of those things, Netherlands, kind of thought probably they had it in the bag, and then, yep, it happens just like that.
Yeah. Yeah. In this tournament now, the round of 32 going into the quarters, semis, all that, you can't be too comfortable no matter how big of a goal lead, no matter how much defense you can play. You can put all your players back there. It just takes one mistake to win it or to lose it. So Netherlands, I think, got a little too comfortable towards the end, thinking that they were close to winning it, and then Morocco, perfect cross, because like I say, Armando, our buddy Bondo, mentioned it in the chat. Like Netherlands, they're built of giants. Those guys are tall, so Morocco wasn't able to do anything in the air, but with that cross, I was like, it had to be perfect. It was perfect, and that's why they were able to score that goal. Because if it wasn't, if it was a millimeter off or like a centimeter off, it wouldn't have been the same outcome. Netherlands would have been able to put a head on it, clear it out, and it would have probably been the Netherlands winning this. So big win for Morocco. I will say, Vera, Mexico fans in Mexico are happy about this outcome because they're still very bitter about the tournament 8 years ago, was it? Maybe
I think that's right.
the no era penal, the penalty kick that wasn't a penalty that Netherlands got to eliminate Mexico from the tournament. Um, I would say Mexico got revenge today.
For sure. Yeah, no, they certainly did. Definitely saw that broadcasted in the group chats today. Um, Gosh, that might have even already been 12 years now that I think of it. It
Yeah, it
was it
could
was
be.
a little, but yeah, one that lives on. You're exactly right. Good reference there, John. It's crazy because the memes after that one was insane. Everybody
Yeah,
was talking about it.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's great match overall. Both teams, God, could have won either way, but that's. I mean, this round has been phenomenal so far
Yeah,
in the four matches we've seen.
yeah, it's been good. So I think the one disappointing thing with the Netherlands losing, that fan base going back home, that was an amazing fan base to see them doing their march, their double decker bus, all the orange with the smoke. Amazing fan base to watch just in videos that I've seen.
Yeah, it was, and that was one of Jameis's famous, times as well in this World Cup, with being in the crowd, dancing, interviewing. He was having the time of his life. So yeah, yeah, disappointing overall, but we still have some good fan bases left, of course. But it's that was a really solid one. I love seeing their orange buses go through town to town as well. That was a joy.
Yeah, it was good. So disappointing for that.